everybody and welcome back to Natalie Reads. My name is Natalie and today I have my May TBR, which hopefully is not coming at y'all too late. It's May 1st, the day that I'm filming this, so we'll see when I manage to get it out. But this is going to be a list of all of the books I want to read in May. Of course, I will probably read more than this, but I may also read less than this, and I may not read all of these, so that's my spiel. In May, there are 2 readathons that I'm planning on participating in, and both of them are week-long readathons. The first one is 72 Hours in the Smut Den, which is hosted by Covers with Cassidy's, Rise Reading Corner, Melanor Reads, and Bobby Reads. This is, I'm not quite sure which weekend it is. It's the second weekend, like in 2 weekends from this, which is the perfect weekend for me because it is the week that my AP test is over. After that week, there's just going to be a lift in my load. I'm going to have so much more free time, and what better way to bring that in with reading smut for 72 hours. So the way this readathon works is there are 2 spinners, light wheel and a dark wheel, and you spin it, you get a trope, and you have to read a book that has smut with it and that trope. I'm not quite sure which wheel I'm going to be using. You have to stick with the wheel a day. I may start off on the dark, then go to the light, then go to the dark, or start off on the light, then go to the dark, or then go to the light, or stick to one for most of the readathon. I'm not quite sure. It'll probably just depend on my mood. The other readathon is Becca's Bogopothon, the 48-hour version, which is the third 48-hour version, I believe, and this is the weekend after 72 Hours in the Smut Den, I think, so the weekend before Memorial Day weekend. But I could be completely wrong with that, so I don't know. This, once again, is a 48-hour readathon that starts on Friday, ends on Sunday, and the way this readathon works is every 12 hours you get 2 prompts, so depending on my schedule, I'm going to try to be probably reading 4 books, if not 8. 8 will probably be a bit ambitious, but I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I won't have too much homework. It'll be near the end of the school year, so hopefully my teachers will be lenient, but we'll see. I'm just going to try to read as much as I can. I know 2 prompts for that have been revealed. I think under 300 pages and Gods. I don't have plans for those yet. I mean, under 300 pages will probably end up being a volume of One Piece. And Gods will probably be a fantasy romance, but besides that, I don't know what I'm going to end up reading. Besides that, I think those are all my plans for May. Like I said, my schedule clears up after the 9th, I think, and then track ends halfway through the month, and then it's just gearing up for the end of the school year. We go, I think, 2 weeks into June, so I'm just really excited to be done, so I'm hoping to do a lot of reading in May. So, let's get into the TBR. The first few things I have to talk about, which I feel like are the things I talk about at the beginning of every TBR, is One Piece. I have 5 volumes of One Piece currently out in my library, volumes 20 through 24. I want to read all of these, if not more, in May. I actually wanted to read most of these in April, but that just ended up not happening. So yes, I have the end of the second saga, or yeah, I think it's Saga, Baroque Works, and then on to the third, which is Guypedia, I believe. So be excited to read this, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'll end up reading more of these, but I can't promise anything. Another one I want to read is actually a reread, and that's This Lullaby by Sarah Dessen. This year I am reading all of Sarah Dessen's works. I've read them all before, and I'm making my way through them again because she is one of my favorite authors. This Lullaby is not one of my favorite ones, and I guess to mention, I'm reading them in chronological order based on when she published them. This is the last one that I dislike of hers. I guess dislike is a strong word, but this is not one of my favorite. This, I think, is of lesser quality than most of her books. There's like 3 or 4 of her earlier works that I don't like, but everything else I adore, and this is the last one before I just get into stuff I absolutely adore. I'm not quite sure what this book is about. I feel like there's a girl and she's dating a songwriter, and she also has some issues with her dad. And yeah, I feel like this one doesn't have a happy ending, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't love this book when I read it. I didn't find the plot interesting or the romance interesting, which is kind of hard. I also don't think I really like the main character, so we'll see how it is upon reread. I'm probably going to try to read another one of Sarah Dessen's books this month, because I know pretty early on in the month the movie adaptation of Along for the Ride is coming up, which I absolutely adore. That is one of my favorite books by her, and I cannot wait to read that book so I can watch the movie. So if you catch me binging some Sarah Dessen books to get to Along for the Ride, don't question it. I'm just excited for that movie. The other book I am planning on rereading this month is The Last Ever After by Soman yeah, I don't know how to say his last name. This is the third book in the School for Good and Evil series and is the final book in the first trilogy. The series is split up into 2 trilogies, the first trilogy and then the second trilogy. I actually own the second books in the second trilogy. They're right behind me there. They're pretty big. But this is the last one in the first trilogy. This was supposed to be the end of the series, I believe, but then he added more onto it. So I know this one's going to be pretty epic. I remember parts of this. I don't remember all of it. I did read this book a fair bit ago, probably 4 years ago. So yeah, I know I really enjoyed this book. I love this series. I think Sophie and Agatha are engaging characters. I like the romance plot lines, and I find some of the conflicts in this book to be very interesting. So this is the School for Good and Evil series, and we follow Sophie and Agatha, who are friends, although they're a bit of reluctant friends. Agatha is kind of the odd girl. She doesn't fit in, and Sophie is like the girl who wants to be a princess. So she basically becomes Agatha's friend to make herself look good and to do a good deed, because every 4 years in their village 2 children disappear, one good, one evil, and the rumor is they go to the School for Good and Evil, where they learn to be either the hero or the villain of a story. And Sophie wants to get out of this town. She hates this town. She wants to go to the School for Good, and so she befriends Agatha to make herself look better. And on the day that they're supposed to get kidnapped, Sophie and Agatha get kidnapped. However, they end up in the wrong schools. So the first book is about them trying to find the right schools. So yeah, this is the third book, and it's a combination of everything that happened in the first 2, which would make sense. So yeah, very excited to reread this one. I'm excited to see what, I don't know, I pretty much already know what happens. I'm excited to see how it plays out and to see what I managed to remember. After 4 months of reading no classics, after reading a classic every month last year, I'm finally back to reading a classic, and that is going to be Persuasion by Jane Austen. Jane Austen, who is one of my favorite authors. I have read 4 books by her, I believe, and Persuasion will be my 5th. It's a short one, which is good. I just feel like I can't read a long classic right now, but this year I am trying to read all of Jane Austen's works that I have not previously read, except for Northanger Abbey, which I need to reread. That is a very long-winded sentence. But basically, I decided Persuasion will be the next one. So this is about a book about a girl who was in love with this guy, but he was not exactly well off, and so she was persuaded not to marry him. However, many years later, she still loves him. He comes back to town, but now he's wealthy, but she still loves him. You know, she loved him when he wasn't wealthy, but he doesn't exactly seem too keen on her. He seems to be in love with another girl, and she's just like, oh shoot, I blew it. And I guess it's their romance, probably. I've never actually seen anything to do with this book. I think my mother really likes it, but I haven't seen a movie. I haven't read like a Great Illustrated Classics version of it. So this will be my first time encountering the story. I'm really excited, and yeah. The final 4 books I have on my TBR are romances that I'm going to be reading for a vlog, which will be the first few weeks in May. I'm not quite sure how long it's really gonna go. Yes, 2 of these books are rereads, but that's okay. So let's get the rereads out of the way first. First up is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I adored this book when I read it last year. It's fake dating. It has Grumpy Sunshine, which I love. Apparently it's also Reylo fanfiction, which I don't know how I feel about that one. I have seen the first 2 movies in the second Star Wars franchise, and I guess I see it, but I don't like it necessarily. So this book is following Olive, who is a grad student, or is actually a PhD student, and one day she accidentally kisses one of the professors at her school. Luckily he's not actually her professor, but he's still a professor, because she's trying to prove to her best friend that she has moved on from her ex-boyfriend, so her best friend will date said ex-boyfriend, and she ends up having to fake date the professor, Adam Carlson, who she kissed to convince her friend. And Adam is not exactly the most popular guy teacher at school. He's known for being unhappy and rude to people, but he's a bit happy and fun when he's around Olive, and of course they develop feelings for each other. So yeah, that is this book. I absolutely adored it when I read it, and I'm very excited to reread it. One that when I went to go reread it and to plan out this video, I checked Kindle Unlimited, because the first time I read it, it was on Kindle Unlimited, only shocked to find out that it's not there anymore. So I had to get a physical copy from my library, which I was very sad about. Like, I understand why the author probably took it off from Kindle Unlimited, but it still hurts. I love that. And that is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Arns. This is yet another fake dating romance, but this is more enemies to lovers, although not really enemies, dislike to lovers. But this is about Catalina, who needs a boyfriend to go to a wedding with her because her ex-boyfriend, who was not very nice to her, is going to this wedding also, and he has a fiance, I think, and she needs to prove that she has moved on with him. So she ends up taking Aaron Blackford, who is this guy she works at a company with, but she doesn't really like him because they got on the wrong foot. However, tenderness, sweet moments ensues between the two of them, and she discovers maybe there's something more. Maybe she does like Aaron, and of course they're pretending to date to convince her family. So yeah, that is this one. I absolutely adore this. It's insanely popular on TikTok. I know people who have been reading it now aren't loving it as much, but I'm a sucker for fake dating, and the whole, I guess I like the trope that's in this book where it's like kind of miscommunication, but like not really, you know. I like this trope. I'll just put it there. So yeah, really like this book. I'm very excited to reread it. One that I'm reading in this vlog because I saw it on my library and went, ooh, I'll read that. I have no idea what it's like. This was originally when I thought the vlog was going to be 3 books long. I didn't know the 4th book yet that I've since added. And I saw this book in my library and I was like, great, that's the perfect final book to read. It's a romance, it seems cute. Let's add it to the list, but I know nothing about it. It is Battle Royale by Lucy Parker. I believe this is a romance that has to do with baking. So that's what drew my eye, and I will read y'all the back. 4 years ago, Sylvia Fairchild charmed the world as a contestant on the hit baking show Operation Cake. Her ingenious creations captivated viewers and intrigued all but one judges, Dominique Devere. When Cindy's unicorn cake went spectacular sideways, Dominique was quick to vote her off the show. Since then, Sylvie has used her fame to fulfill her dream of opening a bakery. The toast of Instagram, Sugar Fairy has captured the attention of the Operation Cake producers and a princess. Dominic is His Majesty the King's favorite baker and a veritable British institution. He is brilliant, talented, hardworking, and an icy, starchy grouch. Learning that Sylvie will be joining him on the Operation Cake judging panel is enough to make the famously dour baker even more grim. Her fantastic baking is only slightly more troublesome than the fact that he can't stop thinking about her pink striped hair and irresistible dimples. When Dominic and Sylvie learn that they will be fighting for the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to bake a cake for the upcoming wedding of Princess Rose, the flower begins to fly as they fight to come out on the top. So this sounds like it could have, once again, dislike to lovers, and you got it, Sunshine, Grumpy Sunshine. I'm just assuming that. I don't actually know if it's Grumpy Sunshine, but I'm very excited to read this one. I know absolutely nothing about it. I've heard no reviews or anything, but I like the idea of baking in my romance. That sounds fun. And the final book that I know I will for a fact be reading in this month is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, I believe. And I know I'm reading it because I am currently reading it. I'm like 10% in. So this book is about, I don't remember his name, this guy. He's one of 3 brothers. He's the grandson of this guy who's like the CEO. He runs this like amazing company, I think it's called Dreamland, and part of it's like a theme park. And so when his grandfather dies, this guy is told, hey, if you want to get your share in the company, you have to go to the amusement park, figure out what's broken about it, and create something to fix it, and then in 6 months, the board will vote on it, and if they think it went well and want to continue using it in the park, you'll get your share of the company, or else it'll go to your dad. He doesn't like his dad for whatever reason, and so he is determined. He goes to the park, he meets this other girl, I forget her name, and he like uses an idea she has to help fix the park. So they're working together and they're gonna fall in love, but definitely they don't like each other. She doesn't like him, he doesn't like her. He's grumpy, she's a bright ball of joy. Apparently I have a type when it comes to romances. But they're obviously going to fall in love, and it's going to be sweet and adorable, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm like 10% in, so I'm barely started it, but I'm excited to read it. I've heard a lot of really great things about it, and I know there's a sequel, so perhaps that also could get read this month. Okay, so the final thing I'm going to do in this video is just list some possibilities for 72 Hours in the Smut Den. Obviously, I don't know if these books will work with the trope that I get, but we'll see. And I'm not going to explain what these books are about. I'm just going to list some that I came up with. So first is Hideaway by Penelope Douglas, Savage Lover by Sophie Lark, Block by Kate Stewart, The Sweetest Oblivion by Danielle Laurie, Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darling, and Hooked by I don't know who. So those are just some possibilities that I think I could read. I think most of them are dark romances. I know some of them are mafia romances, and we'll just see what I end up reading if it ends up working with the tropes I get, but those are some that I would like to read for 72 Hours in the Smut Den, and some of them I may end up reading some point other in May if I don't end up reading them for 72 Hours in the Smut Den. So yes, those are all the books I want to read for May. I have no idea how many pages this is. I don't really stick to TBRs all that well, but I like having them to guide me in case I don't know what to pick up. And yeah, I have a bunch of other books on my Kindle that I could end up reading, and we'll just have to see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Down below will be links to my Goodreads and my Bookstagram if you want to follow me there. Also down below will be links to all the books I talked about in this video. Subscribe to see more content from me, and I see y'all in my next video very soon. Bye!